All right. Hello, Fawful. Hello, Apparition. Welcome back to the finale of Tokihogushi. Last time, as what happens in a lot of detective dramas, Tomoe was taken off the case because of, bureaucracy and shit. I'm wondering now what's going to happen. Is she going to investigate on her own? Because there's not that much left in the story. We don't have any police case files or anything afterward. It's just the last chapter and a very short epilogue from what I've seen, like based on the links. That's all I know, really. The lengths of the chapters and how many there are. And I gotta say, there's a lot to wrap up here. Like, if they're gonna wrap up anything at all. I think after I finish this, because we're going to have some time, because it's not going to be full 2 hours just to finish this last chapter. I think I'll go over what I liked and what I didn't like about the console arcs, their strengths and weaknesses, and tell you guys what's going to happen afterward. Alright, so without further ado, hello T, welcome to the stream. Let's resume Tokihogushi for the last time. She wasn't sure how much she drank, or which shop she stopped at before she made it here. Then, Tomoe noticed she was sitting on a park bench. The surrounding area was completely dark, and there were no indicators of any other people nearby. When she raised her head to take a look around, her line of sight signally swayed in her drunken stupor. I'd be completely helpless if someone attacked me right now. She bitterly smiled to herself while trying to suppress the urge to vomit. No matter how many times she thought about planting her feet and standing up, she couldn't put the strength into her legs. Hello, Void Dweller. Welcome to the stream. Oh, I am going to do Miyotsukushi eventually, Fawful, but I'm kind of burned out on Higurashi a bit. And Miyotsukushi also has 2 parts to it, too. And the second part is not out yet, so I will do that eventually, but I just want to take a little break from Higurashi, because I've been going full steam ahead on Higurashi for quite a while now, so I just want I just want to take a little bit of time away from it, because I don't know, it's just been just too much in a row for a bit. And I don't want to, the last thing I want to do is be tired of Higurashi, So I think a little absence will make the heart grow fonder. And I will definitely be doing it eventually. Don't worry about that, Fawful. Until then, we'll be doing some other fun things. The Higanbana is something that's going to come in a couple of weeks. And, Higanbana will be started after Seabed ends. And as soon as it's ready, I'm going to be starting Chaos Head. So, I just said when it was going to happen, yep. Even though I was going to say that at the end, I guess I'll repeat it in short then. Anyway, back to the story. No matter how many times she thought about planting her feet and standing up, she couldn't put the strength into her legs. Female Chief Inspector, the hope of the National Police Agency, attacked and killed by thug while drunk. Totally uncool. But if she actually did get stabbed and fell down in a bloody mess, it probably wouldn't end so easily. Yep, that's exactly what happened, Void Dweller. She's still a detective, though. She just transferred out. She's not in charge of that case or even that department anymore. She'd resist with all her might, try to subdue the culprit, and in doing so, ultimately lower her chances of being saved. She could imagine the face her sister would make when she found out about it. Did she just say Bakamitai? Like the Yakuza song? Seriously? How stupid. Yeah, how stupid. Sorry for being so stupid. Damn it. Tomoe leaned back into the bench and gazed up at the night sky as she spat those words out. Frustrated as she was, the sky was filled with a sea of beautiful stars, shining in full view. Ninai-san. Exactly, Void Dweller. The twinkling of the stars suddenly distorted into an image of Nagisa's smiling face. The corners of her eyes began to heat up, and her chest tightened in pain. In the end, I couldn't protect her. In fact, it's completely the opposite. She shouldn't have even been involved, but she suffered anyway. No matter how much she regretted it, it wasn't enough. If Tomoe hadn't told her about Reina Ryugu's whereabouts in the first place. I'm a plague of destruction. As the depression sank in, Tomoe's voice warped into a laugh that would likely give her a sore throat. Up until now, there were times she felt depressed because she failed. Or something didn't work out. The sadness and regret drove her to drink enough to lose consciousness, more than once or twice in the past. However, this was the first time that she lamented her own negligence and powerlessness, and felt so alone that she wanted to hang herself by the neck. Oh my god. But if you get overly eager, it'll only cause you pain later on, you know. The words of her old boss at the youth division, Section Chief Kishimoto, echoed through her drunken head. Deep down, she knew it was a bad habit to get emotional and have overly passionate feelings. But even so, no matter how hard she tried, Tomoe couldn't think about it any other way. Oh, sorry about that. The scars and memories from her time as a victim wouldn't allow her to do otherwise. Am I not fit to be a detective? Is this not possible for me? Then Tomoe scooped up the can of beer she brought with her and guzzled it down her throat. She was long beyond the point she could even taste it. Tomoe was getting kicked out of Kakuichi next month. Well, that just means you gotta try to do something in a month. She hadn't even started on her father's case, and she couldn't catch the person who killed Nagisa. She was clumsily and pitifully leaving it all behind. At this point, she didn't even care about the hate and ridicule of Okabe and the others, saying, "Serves you right." In fact, what she felt most sad about was the people like Fujita, who worried about her and placed their trust in her. I'm Sorry, everyone. They were good people. No matter how disappointed they were, they'd still try to encourage Tomoe. But just knowing that made it all the more painful. Though they were disappointed, they weren't her friends. They were comrades taught by a trusting workplace relationship. For them, it would be crossing the line to be overly sympathetic to the troubles of their dependable boss, Tomoe. I must look so pathetic right now. Still. Uh-oh. Just then, she heard a strange sound coming from the distance. What could it be? Was someone nearby? Uh-oh. No, that wasn't it. She felt something like this before, not that long ago. That's right. She remembered. It was in Hinamizawa. Did she get the freaking syndrome from her, like, freaking 6 hours she spent in Hinamizawa? Seriously. After the gas was drained from her car, when she was walking to the phone booth. She heard the same sound back then. When she tried to stand up, she immediately collapsed on the spot. She had no strength left to fight it. She gave in and thought, "Do as you please," to herself, feeling like a fish on the chopping block. Whatever you want to do, fine. I don't really care anymore. At that point, all her hope and pride were exhausted. She was just a soulless shell at a loss for what to do. If you want to kill me, feel free. If you want to sacrifice me to some curse, I'll go willingly. The sound slowly grew louder. Pat, pat, tap, tap. But even so, she wasn't afraid. Although that may have been due to a loss of sanity in her current drunken state. Before long, the sound continued echoing until it was right beside Tomoe. And then it stopped. It certainly felt like someone was standing beside her. However, they didn't say or do anything. The silence continued for a while. But Tomoe eventually grew frustrated with the oppressive atmosphere and quickly turned her head to look up. What? Oh my. Okay. She got dragged into 5D world. Oh my god. Wow, okay. Huh? Hey, how are you doing?
Hey, we got a visitor here.
However, there was nobody there.
Ah, damn it. No cameos for me.
What do you expect? It's Higurashi.
I know.
There was nobody there. In fact, when Tomoe looked at the surrounding area, it was no longer the original park where she had fallen.
Nani? Koko.
What is this place? Tomoe shook her head many times, thinking she was excessively drunk. She even imagined something, an island in the middle of a vast ocean that got reset many, many times for a witch and her boyfriend just ended up playing games for all eternity. But despite that, an indescribable space like a fantasy world was laid out before Tomoe's eyes. Why on earth am I? Hanyu is here.
Because of who you are.
Huh? That moment. Damn. I did not expect Hanyu to just, she only ever appeared or talked to Rika. What is so special about Tomoe, I wonder, besides the fact that she's the protagonist of this story? Like, I thought that Hanyu could only appear to Rika because of her bloodline. She could feel a voice not coming through her ears, but directly inside her head. So she quickly took a look around. Oh yeah, well that's true. She did talk to Akasaka in Matsurubayashi. That's true. She did do that. So yeah, she can do this. And then...
リカの運命を切り開く大切なかけらの一つ。
You're the one of the most important fragments in carving out Rika's destiny.
隙間はようやく埋めたけど、橋の方でかけたところがどうしても見つからなかった。
Yeah, exactly. Version. Hanyu's voice is so hard to pin down. I can't think of anything but Rena because she's high pitched. Yeah, seriously.
The god has finally been found. They just couldn't find it until the very end.
でも、ようやく見つけました。
But I finally found you.
あなた、誰？
Who are you? An unfamiliar girl dressed in shrine maiden's clothes suddenly emerged in this empty space. It was a face she hadn't seen before, and she could see things resembling horns on her head. Who on earth was this girl?
あなたは不思議な存在。全く僕たちのことを知らない関係のない人のはずなのに、あなたの存在が運命の歯車を変えてしまう。
I'm guessing this is leading into Miyotsukushi, what she's saying.
You are a mysterious being, even though we don't know you at all. Even though you seem to be a completely unrelated individual, your existence will be pivotal in turning the gears of fate.
奇跡
Oh,
を必然へと昇華する。例えるならそう。トランプのジョーカーのような人。
in order to make a miracle happen, it's necessary to have a person like the Joker in playing cards.
ジョーカー？それに運命の歯車って一体何？
Joker? And what's all this about the gears of fate? As like... and then like she gets a persona mask and it's like, baby, 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 oh! And like, it's like, I wonder what Tomoe's persona would be. She's like, persona! And like, I'm guessing it'll be the same as Makoto's from Persona 5. And then she fights crime as a phantom thief. And what's all this about the gears of fate?
歯車は全てが同じ向きにばかり回っていては噛み合わない。
The gears won't turn if all the cogs are spinning in the same direction.
正しい動きをしない。
They have to move in the correct way.
中にはいくつか正反対の動きをするものがなければいけない。
A Joker in cards is like it's like a wild card, Void Dweller.
It won't work unless some are spinning in the opposite direction.
僕たちを取り巻く運命の歯車は強固すぎて、なかなか僕の思い通りには流れを変えてくれなかった。
The gears of fate were too strong, so the flow couldn't be changed as easily as we thought.
So Hanyu here, like, I don't think Tomoe even knows who Rika is in this arc.
だから僕はちょっと奇跡を集めてリカの幸せを導き出した。
So I've been gathering small miracles here and there in order to win back Rika's happiness. You have no idea how gigantic that board of tips is. Seriously, having to go in the correct order and of over 50 fucking tips. And there's even more in the fucking console arcs. I mean, God! Oh, that was exhausting.
そうしなければ流れは僕たちの思い通りには動いてくれなかったから。
Because without that, the flow would never move in the way we envisioned.
She couldn't understand. Tomoe couldn't understand the meaning behind what this girl was saying.
でも僕は気づいたのです。
But I realized...
実 実は動いていない歯車がまだあって、それを動かすための歯車が一つ回路から抜け落ちてしまっていたことを。
Reset? I wonder what she means by that. Is she gonna give Tomoe some kind of power?
The truth is, there's one gear that isn't moving. In order to get everything moving, the one gear that fell out of sequence needs to be reset.
それはとても小さなものだけど、それを加えて動かせば止まっていた歯車が動き出し、
It's very small, but if you put it back in place and start to move it, the other gears will move along with it.
A not usually void dweller.
今までびくともしなかった大きな歯車の向きが逆へと変わって動き出す。
The largest gear, which I hadn't seen until now, has started to move in the opposite direction.
そしてその動きは一見僕たちの邪魔をするもの。
Hello, Jess. Welcome to the stream.
On the first glance, that movement seems to be hindering us.
でもその歯車一つの動きで奇跡は必然となり、運命のサイコロは僕たちの手へと移る。
But with the movement of a single gear, an inevitable miracle will put the dice of fate back on our hands.
その歯車があなたです。
That gear is you.
Who knew that Tomoe was so important?
かけらに残ったままどうしても外せなかったよどみを取り除き、あなた自身はそのよどみとともに離れてゆくけれど、その結晶をより堅固なものへと変える存在なのです。
By moving the stagnation within that fragment, even if you yourself have contributed to that stagnation, you can transform it into something tangible and make that change a reality.
Is this a dream? Am I witnessing some ridiculous dream?
見ないともえ、
Tomoe fucking Mina, I swear, please remember what I'm saying.
過去に苦しみ、それでも前に進もうとあがき続ける強い意志の人よ。
You've suffered greatly in the past, but you're still a person with a strong will to move forward.
僕たちにはあなたが必要。
We need you.
いえ、リカにはあなたが必要なんです。
No, Rika needs you.
And Tomoe's like, who the hell is Rika? Like,
待ってよ。
wait.
リカって
Ay, jeez. Rika? Who the fuck is that and why should I care?
それにそもそもあなたは一体何者？
And more importantly, who on earth are you?
僕はお社様。
I am Oyashira-sama. I finally get to introduce myself to someone to be intimidating.
あなたの大切な人たちを傷つけ、命を奪ったとあなたが誤解して憎み続ける上々の存在。
A supernatural being that you so misunderstand and continue to hate for allegedly hurting those dear to you.
Actually, I never really had too much involvement with the curse of Oyashiro. It's still 1982.
Oh, God damn it! Listen, it's hard to keep track of the different fragments, okay? There's literally an infinite amount.
What? The blood suddenly ran to Tomoe's head, and she reflexively tried to stand up, but she lacked the strength in her legs, and so she fell in place. Still, even though she turned to the girl with rage in her eyes, she responded with a timid smile devoid of hate.
憎いですか？
Are you hateful?
悔しいですか？
Frustrated?
そう。あなたのその黒い感情が僕たちには不可欠なもの。
Yes. Those dark emotions are essential to us. Give in to your hate. Good, good, good.
毒を持って毒を制すの例え通り、強固な黒い意志にくさびを打ち込めるのは黒い感情でしかなし得ないのです。
Like fighting fire with fire. Only strong dark emotions can resist a dark will.
待っています。あ
We'll be waiting for you.
このひなみ沢で
Hinamizawa. Peace.
あれ
Oh my god, Mika, did you see? Did you see? I was really cool and intimidating. Did you see? Did you see?
Not really.
Oh, no. Oh.
Hey, where's my spicy food?
Oh, god damn it!
I bet that's what happened afterward. Huh? When Tomoe came back to her senses, she found herself on a park bench. She glanced at her watch to check the time. It was nearly morning.
寝ちゃったのか
That's right, Fawful. Did I say peace? Ay, jeez. I fell asleep.
寒
It's cold. A chill ran all the way to her core, and her whole body suddenly began to shake. She completely sobered up. There was a dull pain in her head, but her thoughts were cool and collected. Fortunately, she didn't seem to have caught a cold, despite sleeping in a place like this. More than that, it was a miracle that a young woman left defenses like that was able to wake up in a perfectly good health in the morning.
奇跡か
A miracle. It was a peculiar dream. She couldn't remember the face of the girl who appeared in her dream, but she could vaguely recall bits and pieces of her words.
Oh god damn it, I spent a lot of freaking time on that speech.
There was definitely something about turning gears around. I'm sorry, it's just the idea of like Hanyu, I don't know, Hanyu must have risked and gotten so hard to send that message, and then Tomoe is like, I don't know, something about gears and wanting me to be evil or something, whatever. And, jeez, I remember it was back then when Reina Ryugu attacked me. That girl was talking to me as my consciousness began to fade away. And that memory came back inside my head to form that dream. But looking at it in hindsight, I can't deny the possibility that what I heard then was a dream too.
毒を持って毒を制す
Fight fire with fire.
黒には黒でぶつかる
Resist darkness with darkness. At first, she couldn't quite understand the meaning. But as she continued to ponder it, little by little, she was able to piece it together. Fight hate with hate. My god, Hanyu, jeez! It wasn't as simple as standing up and fighting with revenge in your heart. That simply made a collision between two egos. In other words, this is about pushing your opponent with the same passion, but also with understanding. It's only because you feel your own strong, dark emotions that you're in a position to understand your adversaries. And in doing so, you also know how to calm your opponent. Humans are not wild animals. With few exceptions, they rely on reasoning rather than instinct. So when a person chooses to attack another, there is a reason that drove them to that action. In order to identify that, you must first know the other person and their sense of values. Yes, Waffles. Like Battler says, turn the gears around and start thinking from the culprit's perspective. Or chessboard. Who cares? Find the source of despair that nobody else could understand, and unravel the dark emotions that drove them to solitude. That's right, because compassion and animosity are two sides of the same coin. And, as those words repeated in Tomoe's head over and over, she realized that the hopeless despondency that she had been feeling until last night was no longer there.
なるほどね
I understand. I gotta go on a killing spree just like the... No, that's not it.
そういうことか。
That's it. That's how it is. Tomoe stood up as she said that. She glanced at the empty can in her hand and then at a trash can a short distance away, then tossed it in a snap. 3 points. The can raced through the air in a slightly arcing path. A dull sound rang out as it collided with the aluminum on the edge and then fell right in place. Interesting. This isn't listed as a separate chapter. And there's no way they'd end it like that, so let's see what happens. If you speak of justice, the others will laugh at you. What a naive, helpless thing to say. If you speak of evil, the others will berate you. What a careless, cruel thing to say. Everyone remains silent, but the truth is, nobody understands. Frederica Berncastle, 6 months after Tomoe Minai is transferred to the Public Relations Office. Okay. Interesting. Oh!
結局合同捜査本部には何の進展もなしか。
Fucking excuse me? Hello? I believe we are not acquainted yet. Hey! Who are you, sweetheart? Jeez. Wow, okay. In the end, no progress was made on the joint investigation with HQ, huh?
岡部の野郎はカリカリ来てるみたいだぜ。
This guy's called Hanada. We haven't seen him before. That bastard Kabe seems pretty on edge.
これで2本。自分のところで県警本部の世話役を抱え込んでるからな。
Because now we have 2 mediators from Prefectural HQ here. He'll need a time machine to get out of this situation.
他の山が全然回りきれてなくて、この間畑副所長からお叱りをいただいたってさ。
The others couldn't stop running in circles, so we had to receive a chat from Deputy Chief Hana.
いい君だよ。
Serves them right.
身の程を知れってんだ。
They should know their place. Wait, are you saying he was in the previous arcs? Then why didn't his sprite show up? Oh, come on! What? So you're saying he had a sprite, but it just didn't show up? God damn it. I was deprived of this sprite, this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sprite. Oh God, why? After all that, they couldn't find anything resembling a clue at the crime scene, and they didn't even have a profile on the culprit. Even searching through a list of classmates and known degenerates, they couldn't find anything at all. Anything at all. The whole thing was shrouded in mystery, no doubt about that. But the morale in the field was on the decline. This seems to be a very underwhelming ending so far.
そういや、あれからあの人、今頃どうしてるかな。
Oh yeah, you know about you-know-who. How do you think she is doing now?
なんだ、藤田。
What's that, Vegeta?
お前、惚れたのか？
Do you have a crush on her?
バカ、違うよ。
You moron, that's not it!
広報室なんかに飛ばされて、腐ってやめちまってるんじゃないかって。
She was sent off to the public relations office. I wonder if things were rotten and she had to quit. God damn, everybody in this fucking game ships us. Even Collider does, but I'm married!
それが心配でさ。
That's what I'm worried about.
In fact, Fujita couldn't believe that another detective that capable would ever come out of the National Police Agency or the Metropolitan Police Department. Her extraordinary work ethic and analytical capability were far above anyone he'd ever worked with, regardless of age or gender. And if she had taken part in this joint investigation, maybe she would have been able to make full use of her abilities to squeeze out a profile on the criminal. At the very least, Fujita and the others believed that Tomoe was capable of it.
なんかあれ以来一家って気が抜けたような感じじゃないか。
The first division seems like it's been on a decline since then, hasn't it?
山村さんが悪いわけじゃないけど、やっぱ違ってたよな。
Not to say that Yamamura-san is doing a bad job, but it's definitely not the same.
そうだな。
That's true.
Shiro Hanada agreed with Fujita's assessment while sitting next to him. After all, her investigation policies were clear and easy to understand, as opposed to running around based on intuition without any tangible confirmation. I always thought that was a very strange phrase too, just known degenerates. I have no fucking idea what that means. Of course, they couldn't deny that it was fortunate the incidents they investigated were consistent with Tomoe's analytical methodology. Still, there are people out there with the power to make their own luck. That too was one of her strengths.
ま、警察みたいなセクショナリズムの社会にああいう破天荒な女性は合わなかったってことだろうさ。
Well, I suppose such a groundbreaking woman wasn't a good fit for an organization as factionalized as the police force.
もったいない話だけどさ。
Oh, what a shameful story.
誰が破天荒だって？
Ah, she's back! And who is this groundbreaking woman?
Huh?
Fujita and Hinata jumped in surprise when they suddenly heard a voice coming like from behind. And when they looked back, the person standing before them was...
見ないさん？
Minai-san! Da-da-da! Da-da-da-da! Da-da-da-da! Da-da-da-da-da-da! Da-da-da! Da-da-da-da! 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 I always love that song from Phoenix Wright. Every time Edgeworth comes back.
何よ、幽霊でも見たような顔して。
What's the deal? You look like you've seen a ghost. Oh, that was me. I've seen a ghost, but enough about that.
足はちゃんとあるわよ。
Look, I have legs.
いや、そうじゃなくて。
No, that's not it!
なんでここに？
What are you doing here?
別に警察官がここを訪れるのは変じゃないでしょ？
Is it really so unusual for a police officer to be visiting here?
なんかおかしい？
What's so odd about that? Indeed, even though Tomoe worked for the public relations office, she was still a police officer, so it wasn't that unusual for her to come to Tokihogushi Station. Although knowing her character, she wasn't the type to say, "I just came to say hi." So what was the meaning of this?
藤田くん、花田くん、
Fujita-kun, Hanada-kun.
早速だけど、二人にもまた足やってもらうわよ。
I know this is sudden, but can I ask the two of you to help me out?
Huh?
じゃあ。
What is it?
と、その前に山村課長ね。
Oh, before that I'll have to talk to Section Chief Yamamura.
はあ、もっと前にアンニャローのところにも行かなきゃ。
Right. I need to take care of that first.
あとは、
We'll talk later. Damn it, I made my big entrance too. Fuck. Oh my god, Fawful. Yeah, he's like, I gotta read your Fawful's comment.
Oh, never mind. It's Mrs. Crybaby Detective. Oh, sorry, I got better things to do than cameo in Tokihogushi. See you later.
And even though Tomoe was no longer in a position to order them around anymore, Fujita and Hinata immediately responded to her request by saying,
Understood!
and quickly rushing out. Their sense of servitude was so deeply ingrained, they were like loyal dogs. But as Fujita ran down the corridor, before long his cheeks split into a huge grin.
Yes!
山内所長、こちらにサインを。
Chief Yamaoki, sign here.
Sure.
まどかくん。
Oh, right, Madoka-kun.
南井巡査です。
It's Officer Minai.
お間違いのないように。
Make sure you get it right.
Right.
Yamaoki looked embarrassed after being corrected in such a sharp, cold tone.
ではその南井巡査。
Then here you are, Officer Minai.
はい、山内所長。
Thank you, Chief Yamaoki.
私に何か。
Did you need anything else from me?
実はこの前知人から演劇のチケット2枚もらってな。
Actually, I happened to receive 2 theater tickets from an old acquaintance of mine earlier.
よかったら今度。
Would you care to go this time? I know how much you love Hamilton.
I know, but it's work hours.
申し訳ありませんが、私の休日の予定は3ヶ月後まで埋まっております。
My apologies, but my holiday schedule is completely booked for the next 3 months.
その後でもよろしければ、ぜひ誘ってくださいませ。
But if it's sometime after that, feel free to invite me. There was no reason for her to be so blunt. But this situation had been ongoing since last year. When he told her that Tomoe was being transferred to the public relations office, she was deeply upset. Yes, Void Dweller. Crying, yelling, telling him off, and even in the end throwing things around. There were still marks on his desk from when Madoka struck her with the golf club back then. In that way, she was really so much like her sister. And so, Yamaoki let out a sigh.
まどかくん。
Madoka-kun.
だから何度も話したようにこれには深い理由が。
Like I've told you many times before, there was a very good reason for this.
あったんでしょうね。
Yes, and I suppose there was. And like I've told you many times before, I'll never be satisfied with the explanations.
ですから、私の感知するところではございません。
But that's apparently not my concern.
私がこうやって怒っているのも、対局を見ることのできない矮小な一巡査が極めて個人的に不満を抱いているだけですので。
The reason I'm angry is that one small-minded police officer couldn't see the big picture.
どうぞお気になさらないでくださいまし。
Please, don't mind me. He was at his wit's end. With things as they were, no progress would be made until they talked about it. But he couldn't say anything in the current situation. Madoka had finally returned to living in Yamaoki's house, but she had been living in Tomoe's old single occupancy apartment until last month. With that in mind, you could say their relationship was still getting better, but it was hard to deny the possibility that just one more little thing could spell the end of their engagement. More importantly, that catastrophic pattern was typical in relationships with that sort of age difference. She couldn't help but let her emotions take control. Also, Madoka caused a great deal of turmoil since she first started at Kakuichi Station. Enough so that she was expecting a 1-month suspension. However, Yamaoki had lived alone for so many years that when she moved out, the space felt especially small and lonely. It was hard for anyone who knew him to believe. But he had already deeply bowed his head and apologized to her over 20 times. But she still hadn't forgiven him, and the Cold War continued even now. I really wish that... Why didn't he just tell her the reasoning and everything? and why Tomoe can't know about it. Oh, God. And so, all it took was a single fierce glare, and he couldn't think of anything else. He easily recognized the outcome of any action he took, so he never did anything. There was nothing he could do. Because of that, he ended up repeating the same sad questions and answers. And in some ways, maybe even being taken advantage of by his feelings for her. Just then, he heard a knock at the door. Normally, he would have asked the person to announce who they were before entering the room. But in this case, he wanted to shake off the dreary atmosphere, so he responded, "Come in!" in a dignified voice. And then... Sis! You opened the door with the gun like you always do! The door swung open and she came in saying, "Excuse me." Madoka and Yamoki's eyes opened wide in shock as soon as they recognized Tomoe. Naturally, they didn't know in advance that she was coming. When Tomoe noticed their reactions, she had a mischievous smile on her face as she donned a salute.
見ない巴、警察庁長官官房の総務課長の代理でご挨拶に伺いました。
This is Tomoe Minai greeting you on behalf of the Director of General Affairs and the Secretariat of the Commissioner of the National Police Agency.
少々お時間よろしいでしょうか。
May I ask a moment of your time?
Of course.
じゃあ私は
The Nihil!
別にいてもいいわよ。
It's alright. You can stay.
いずれ遅かれ早かれみんなの耳に入ることなんだし。
This is something everyone will hear sooner or later. This police station is set to explode. If you don't give me my job back, you're all hostages now. The game begins. What? No, just kidding. Jeez. Oh my god, Fawful, I gotta do that. In this...
Gun. Door. Gun door!
If you've ever seen the Himi Daisy comics for Metal Gear Solid. Those are amazing. You should really check those out. As well as their Persona 4 one. That is fucking hilarious. Madoka stared on in disbelief as Tomoe spread the file in her hands out in front of Yamoki. Inside were a bunch of documents clipped together.
警察庁長官官房から愛知県警と柿内署への協力要請です。
This is a request for cooperation between Aichi Prefectural Police and Kakuichi Station on behalf of the Secretariat of the Commissioner of the National Police Agency. God, that is a mouthful to say.
了解をいただき次第、後日正式な通達書を送付させていただきます。
A formal letter of notice will be sent at a later date, after receiving your consent. The heading inscribed on the cover said this: Establishing an operational test regarding the use of profiling techniques to investigate unsolved cases.
What is this?
実は先日、前の広報室長のご紹介で総務課長、長官官房長とお会いする機会がございまして。
Actually, Public Relations Director Maeno introduced me to the Director of General Affairs the other day, and I even had the opportunity to meet up with the Secretariat of the Commissioner.
そこで少々ご歓談のお時間をいただくことができました。
I was able to chat with them for a little while. It was totally coincidental, but incredibly fortuitous, and it was a rare one-in-a-million opportunity that she had earned through her strong convictions. A few days after Tomoe started the Public Relations Office, the Secretariat heard that she was a fellow alumnus of Kashima University, so he called her into his office just to give her encouragement. During their chat, Tomoe offhandedly mentioned her profiling investigation technique to the Secretariat. And she mentioned that it had already been tested in Kakuichi with wonderful results.
さすがに僭越な行為と承知しておりましたが、今までにまとめた資料をたまたま持参しておりましたので、 これ幸いと思って目を通していただきました。
Of course, I knew it was presumptuous of me to bring it up, but I did casually bring the file with me, summarizing the results so far, and fortunately I took the time to look through it. Both the Secretariat and the Director of General Affairs were a bit surprised when they saw it. After all, these profiling techniques were published in lengthy documents written in English, so it was difficult to decipher the details without putting significant effort into it. And this young elite trainee casually translated and summarized it, achieved amicable results while testing it on real cases, and assembled a report detailing all her findings. The Secretariat was always interested in pursuing new techniques, and thanks to all the work she put into it, he was particularly interested.
それを受けて官房長のお力で報告書の内容を科警研にも紹介してくれることになりました。
Thanks to that, the Secretariat pulled some strings to get the contents of that report submitted to the National Research Institute of Police Science.
そこで偶然にもその実行例の詳細をすべて管理しておりましたので、科警研の総務部長にそれらをレポートとして提出したのです。
And by some fluke, the details of that report escalated all the way to the General Manor of Nerips. The reaction was stunning. Originally, the National Research Institute of Police Science, or NRIPS, was conducting their own research on Western profiling techniques. But even though they understood the basic premises, they had no operational data to analyze. And even when they tried to pursue the endeavor, progress was extremely slow because of the sectionalized nature of the police force. Detectives in the field were also anxious that new techniques would jeopardize their positions. Meanwhile, Tomoe showed up with all the data compiled from her time at the Ibaraki Prefectural Police Department and her 2 months at Kakuichi and offered it up for free, so they welcomed it with open arms. In response to that, the general manager of Nerips invited the director to a hearing with her. Of course, the fact that Tomoe was a woman certainly did pique some curiosity, but even so, she opted to use that to her advantage. And after talking it over, the director gave an official proclamation that the process should be tested on an actual investigation. As a result, Nerips assembled a research team and launched a full-scale investigation into profiling methodology. But you're with the Public Relations Office!
ええ、ですから私は関与いたしません。
That's right, so I'm not directly involved.
その代わり広報室係長としてこの件についての報道対応を任されることになりました。
Instead, as subsection chief at the Public Relations Office, I've been charged with reporting on this matter. Reporting?
That's true. The R, the national, because doesn't institute part already kind of imply that it's for research? But then the acronym would be too hilarious.
Reporting? This is being released to the mass media! You literally just said, I'm in public relations.
はい。
That's right.
実はテレビ局に企画書を持ち込みました。
In fact, I brought the proposal to the police to the TV station.
欧米における最新の捜査手法の特集をやらないかと。
Don't you think the latest investigation methods from the West would make a nice feature?
3ヶ月以内に迷宮入りの難事件を解決してみせるって大見え切って密着取材にも許可を出したら喜んで飛びついてきましたよ。
Mysterious unsolved case cracked in 3 months. They'll be proud to declare that. And I happily jumped at the chance to be the person covering it. Madoka shouted in astonishment. Tomoe had always hated working with the media, so what on earth brought about this change of heart?
でも捜査内容の の開示は良くないってお姉ちゃん言ってなかった？
But sis, weren't you the one who said it wasn't good to disclose the details of active investigations?
もちろん彼らに見せるのはほんの一部、上っ面の部分だけよ。
Of course, we'll only show them part of the information. Just the surface details. I'm not a fucking moron.
それにそれとは別に女性向けインタビューを2本独占で受けることになってるから、実際の彼らの優先順位はそっちの方が上。
Plus, the station requested 2 exclusive interviews with women, so in reality, their priorities are elsewhere.
そういうわけで女性の権利拡大の弁士として思いっきり威勢のいいことを語ってあげるって言ったら、もう大喜びで協力してくれるってさ。
They just want to have a strong speaker about the expansion of women's rights, so they were more than happy to cooperate.
悪人。
You are terrible.
ありがとう。最高の褒め言葉よ。
Thank you. That's the best praise I can receive. Tomoe nonchalantly shot that back. Disregarding her name to obtain results was normal for her. But compromising and cooperating with all manner of people was totally different from Tomoe's old way of thinking. So Madoka felt like she was dreaming right now. It was incredibly painful. Just then, Fujita knocked on the door and then entered the chief's office.
Minai-san!
Minai-san! This fucking gun door still hasn't been fixed! God damn it, I hate freaking cocking a gun to open your door, Chief. What's the deal with this? I don't know! Some idiot installed a lock that sounds exactly like a gun. Scares the hell out of me every time I enter the room. One day someone will be pointing a gun at me in this room and I won't even know it because of that stupid door. Minai-san.
刑事一課に大きな段ボールの荷物が届いてるんですが、あれって何ですか?
The first investigation division just received a large package. What's this about?
ああ、藤田君、それは私の荷物なの。
Fujita-kun, that's my luggage.
中身はパソコンだから、扱いは丁寧にお願いね。
There's a 1980s personal computer in there, so handle it with care. It weighs approximately 50 kilograms.
パソコンですか?
Computer? What the hell's that?
一体何に使うんですか?
What on earth are you doing with one of those?
遅れてるわね、藤田君。
Don't fall behind, Fujita-kun.
これからはパソコンの時代よ。
The age of computers is just starting, you know?
あ、山沖所長。下記内署の合同捜査本部内に専用線の配置を行いたいので、ご許可をいただけますでしょうか。
Oh, Chief Yamaoki. I'd like to set up a dedicated line between Kakuichi Station and the Joint Investigation Headquarters. Would you be willing to sign off on that? Sure. Still unable to dismiss his feelings of confusion, Yamaoki simply nodded. Didn't she say that she wasn't interested in computers before? It was a completely unthinkable change. Was this really Tomoe Minai? Was there any chance she was actually replaced by an alien taking her form? The next moment.
山沖所長。
Chief Yamaoki. Tomoe turned to him with a serious expression and deeply bowed her head. And then,
ありがとうございました、所長。
thank you, Chief.
私はもう少しで正義というものを見失うところでした。
I lost sight of justice, just for a bit. The look on her face as she said that had a pleasant atmosphere, suggesting she had dispelled her earlier demons.
感情的な復讐心や自己満足の行いは自分の失敗を認めたくないという見苦しさの産物です。
Emotion-fueled revenge and the pursuit of self-interest are the detestable products of one who refuses to acknowledge their own failures.
自分は正しいと一人で思い込んで誰にも頼らず誰の言葉にも耳を貸さない独りよがりの未熟なまがいものの正義です。
I had a foolish, immature, and misguided view of justice. I thought myself the only one correct, and refused to listen to or rely on anyone else.
でもそれでは本当の悪には勝てない。
But that way of thinking can't defeat true evil. This track was used in the main arcs.
いえ、戦えない。
No, it can't even fight it.
こちらが犯罪を取り締まるため、あらゆる手段と知識を蓄えているように、相手も同様の準備をしてこちらを叩き潰そうと、その武器を磨いている。
Though we have the knowledge and means to crack down on crime, our adversaries are polishing their weapons and making preparations of their own.
そんな奴らに一人でできることなんてたかが知れています。
I realize now that those sorts of people can't be overcome on my own. So Tomoe gathered all her hatred and resentment and cast them aside, and she replaced her selfish thoughts and convictions with a general desire to gain the understanding of the people around her.
自分の正義と警察の正義、
My justice. And the police department's justice.
相反するときは自ら屈して妥協して警察の正義に合わせるのも一つのやり方です。
When these two are in conflict with each other, you have to compromise a little to match the police version of justice.
しかしその逆も確かにあります。
However, the opposite is also certainly true.
さまざまな権力と発言力を握る各方面の人々すべてを説得し理解してもらい、その上で仲間になってもらう方法です。
You can persuade the people around you in various positions of power. Try to get them to understand and, more importantly, earn their cooperation. Of course, that takes a great deal of time and effort and sincerity. And there's still no guarantee of success. But even so, the possibility is greater than zero. It's definitely not impossible. So, Tomoe identified her small pieces of luck and used them to their maximum effect.
Ah, yes! The power of certainty! And mirror.
And miracles. Really, all miracles, actually. Just happens to be the correct fragment where these things happen. Her contacts at the National Police Agency, the staff of the National Research Institution of Police Science, and the profiling investigation methodology she learned with Hanjo, and her comrades at the Ibaraki Prefectural Police Department. She never spared a moment of free time either. She was always negotiating with them during her usual daily work, consulting with them, requesting they share data, and seeking their approval on matters. Very unusual, low-key ending, it seems. Are we going to get any answers? I'm glad that Tomoe kind of, saw through the error of her previous ways, but are we going to get any answers on anything? I wonder, since this is early 1983 right now, because, it's still not the summer, so I wonder if this is in the same timeline as Miyotsukushi. If this arc, because the whole July of 1983 has not happened yet. And even if it seems like an easy thing to say, accomplishing that in just half a year was no simple task. But even so, she never gave up. She earned the help and cooperation of so many people by approaching other parties over and over and persuading them, trying to win their agreement. And as a result, she's able to greet everyone here today.
今回の一件が成功すれば、その成果は科警研のものです。
I agree, Fawful. I think this seems like it's setting up for Miyotsukushi rather than being an arc on its own. It does seem like a big setup for Miyotsukushi. Like I'm pretty sure that like Adachi is going to be like basically the main villain that she's going to square off against in Miyotsukushi. If the results in this case are successful, the findings will go straight in her hips.
私自身が関わることはほとんどありません。
I myself will have pretty much no direct involvement.
ですが、正義はあります。
Still, this is about justice.
それこそが私が警察官として今ここにいる理由です。
That's the reason I'm here, as a police officer. From the perspective of many police officials, she looked like a soft-souled person. She was also aware of how people perceived her as a woman. But that was what she wanted. If they were willing to lend Tomoe their strength, or as long as they weren't trying to get in her way, it was ultimately beneficial for her. Tomoe wasn't simply performing well to achieve career advancement, and she wasn't investigating crime to clear up her own hatred or personal grudges. To go even further, she wasn't doing that for the victims or their families either. The police shouldn't carry out investigations seeking revenge. There is absolutely justice in the world to judge wrongdoers and admonish their sins. And those who stand before the walls of justice with evil in their hearts have no choice but to surrender to its power. It is Yamaoki who taught Tomoe that. In order to create a society that people can believe in, the police need to fight crime with the full backing of the law. Same, Void Dweller. Same. To that end, it's necessary to understand the psychology of the criminal, and to sometimes even be in sync with them. It was a truly naive way of thinking, but it was first class. Even if my effort and feelings aren't always rewarded, so what? Rather than twisting the world to my own intentions, I've let everything on living my life honestly. It's fine to get hurt. And even if you fall and even if you're pushed down, you have to get up again and again, no matter how hard it is, doing your best to maintain your convictions. That's why I choose to follow the path of the police force.
Tomoe-kun, 君を
Tomoe-kun, you!
それにそもそも悪が手段を選ばない以上、正義だってそうあるべきですよね。
Besides, evil will never stop at anything, so why should justice be any different?
一人の悪役に5人総出でタコ殴りにしても、巨大ロボットで踏みつけたとしても、正義である限りは卑怯なんて考えてはいけないんです。
Nerd! Even if 5 evildoers combine into one villain that octopunches you, even if you get stomped by a giant robot, as long as justice still lives, it's cowardice to think anything otherwise.
だって正義は必ず勝たなきゃいけないんですから。
Because justice will always prevail.
お姉ちゃん。
Sis!
見ないさ
Minai-san! Madoka and Fujita could only stare on, looking overwhelmed, as Tomoe so proudly declared that. But Yamaoki wasn't like that. His reaction was completely whimsical, and the incredible courage she showed couldn't quite keep pace with the weirdness of what she said. Hey, Yusuke! This incredibly bold willingness to take action, to never give in. Your daughter is exactly like you from head to toe.
そんなわけですから、しばらくまたお世話になります。
And so I'll need to ask a little more of you for help for going forward.
どうかお手柔らかに。
Please, don't be too hard on me. Oh, hello! Welcome to the stream. I can't quite read your name because I can't read Japanese, but the person with the purple insignia, welcome. Of course! Do as you please! That's fine. Let's see this girl's future all the way through to the end. Yamoki said that to himself and watched her back as she turned and stepped out of the room. God, what a nerd!
本日より大巻女子学生殺人事件の合同捜査本部に科警研による特別チームが参加することとなりました。
Who the fuck is Soma? A random new character here? Starting today, a special team at Narips will be joining the joint investigation for the Omaki schoolgirl murder case.
プロファイリング捜査の運用マニュアルを作成するための重要なテストケースとなりますので、皆様にはご協力とご理解をよろしくお願いします。
This will be an important case for creating operational guidelines on profiling investigation techniques. Thank you very much for your cooperation and understanding.
The senior researcher dispatched from the Riffs spoke respectfully, but with a dignified demeanor, as he addressed the entire investigation team. In the center was the person responsible for this investigation headquarters, Director Yamaguchi, and Section Chief Dojima. Dojima? Oh my god! Is he gonna catch Adachi? Of the 1st Investigation Division at Prefectural HQ. And Tomoe was sitting on the left corner of the executive seating area of the platform.
And so, with that out of the way,
今回の事件にあたっては被害者が当時交際しておりました沢村康平が入院中の病院から転落死した事件
the victim of this case was dating Kohei Sawamura at the time of his fatal falling incident at his hospital.
そしてその死亡に関わったとされる看護師の平沼陽子の自殺事件との関連性を調査した上で犯人像の割り出し分析を行う予定です
And by investigating a relationship with Yoko Hiranuma's suicide incident, who was considered related to his death, we were planning to conduct analysis and develop an image of the criminal.
なお現地の捜査にあたっては所轄署の協力が不可欠であり
Additionally, the cooperation of local authorities will be essential in this operation. Now, excuse me, I have to get back to Inaba and my little daughter. And and my nephew who keeps disappearing to go with his friends to June S for some reason.
While listening to the explanation from the meeting facilitator, Section Chief Dojima, Tomoe pulled a photo out of her handbag. It was one of Nagisa Ozaki's belongings found at the crime scene. A copy of a photo of Nagisa and Reina found in her pink wallet.
尾崎さん、やっとここまで来たよ。
Ozaki-san, I finally made it here. She whispered that to herself while gently smiling at the photo. In addition to the photo, the contents of the wallet included a train ticket found for Okonomiya and a receipt for a store she visited on the date of the incident. In other words, Nagisa went to see Reina Ryugu. Although it wasn't clear if they were able to meet and talk. But it means she was caught up in the incident after coming back from there. And there were 2 separate times Tomoe was attacked. With that in mind, it was highly likely that Reina Ryugu was involved in some way, even if she wasn't the actual culprit. No, she has to know something.
待っていなさい、竜宮レーナ。
Just you wait, Reina Ryugu. Time for round 2.
Oh, bring it on. You have no idea what you're dealing with.
That's right. Everything starts now. This isn't the end, not a chance. No matter how cunning or even supernatural my foe may be, I'll bring this chain of tragedies to a close. And for that reason, I'll use everything at my disposal and keep on fighting.
それから今回はマスコミ関係者向けの報道取材対応を警察庁広報室に担当していただきます
And from here on, the National Police Agency's Public Relations Office will be in charge of disseminating information to the mass media.
南井係長どうぞ
Please welcome Subsection Chief Minai.
At Section Chief Dojima's urging, Tomoe stood up and took a bow. She could see Madoka standing near the opposite wall, offering an encouraging smile.
広報室特務係長の南井です。
My name is Minai, the specially appointed Subsection Chief of the Police Public Relations Office.
報道取材対応を担当いたします。
I will be in charge of all media correspondence.
よろしくお願いします。
I look forward to working with you. I won't give up, ever. I'll make that miracle a reality. I'll carve a path to destiny with my own 2 hands. Okay, so I had this arc all wrong. This is clearly just supposed to be basically a prologue to Miyotsukushi. This is like one giant prologue to Miyotsukushi, it seems.
Oh, I love this song. Let's just listen to it for a while. I'll talk afterward. Oh, there's BT, the guy who died. Oh. He died in the middle of production of Umineko. It's so surreal to see mages involved in this. Like, you just think of them as the science adventure people. No Mzaki here. I love that song. So, yep, I know we do have, that's not, yep, little epilogue. Okay, it's probably from, judging from that title, it's probably from Adachi's perspective. Okay, let's see. Dancing in the palm of my hand. So, what are you going to do? Leave it alone? Dispose of it? Here's a brand new background, too. Well, if I was in your position, I think it would be best to clean it up quickly.
Oh my god! Is that her? Oh my god! The original owner of the Beatrice voice.
Don't be so impatient.
Yep, I recognize that voice actress. That is Eva's voice actress, who also does someone in Higurashi that I don't want to completely spoil.
The thing about the police, if you kill anyone even tangentially related to them, they'll relentlessly pursue you. But if you'd like to run off alone and become a scapegoat, I won't stop you. Be serious. I have a reckless detective's life and my own precious future to worry about. It's not worth it. Listen, I'm the main villain. You're the side story villain. Let's see. Now, I don't think I have to explain the pecking order, do I? Oh, I suppose.
He had a bitter expression on his face, but his tone was light. Even if left alone, it wasn't a major threat.
Anyway, I am a little surprised. It seemed possible to tear that relationship out by the roots, but we did things your way. You killed an innocent girl without feeling any weight on your conscience, but now you're turning to humanitarianism. I could say the same to you. Are you not without mercy for that detective?
ただちょっと面白い実験ができるかなってね。
But maybe this could lead to an interesting experiment.
実験
Experiment?
え
Yes.
え、どうやらあの子、あとちょっとで末期発症に入りそうなの。
It seems that child will reach the terminal phase before long.
でも、その状態にもかかわらず平静を保っている。
But she's keeping quiet, calm despite her condition.
うまくやれば、新しい臨床データを入手できるんじゃないかしら。
If things go well, this may lead to new clinical data.
なるほど。モルモットですか。
I see. A guinea pig, eh?
いや、さっき言った人道主義の言葉を撤回させてください。
Then let me take back my earlier claim. How about you being a humanitarian?
あなたは正真正銘の外道ですよ。
You're truly a monster.
少なくとも人間じゃない。
At the very least, you're not human.
ありがとう。
Thank you.
最高の賛辞だわ。
That's the highest form of praise.
それじゃ、潜伏する連絡員たちにはそのように伝えます。
All right. I'll report this to our undercover contacts.
よろしいですか？
If that's all right with you.
よろしくお願いね。
Of course. Thank you.
すべては己が手のひらの上で踊る戯れか。
This is all like a play. Everyone is dancing in the palm of my hand. Huh?
ま、それもいいでしょ
Well, that's fine, I suppose.
う。どちらが菩薩で孫悟空なのか、後で思い知らせてやりますよ。
We'll find out soon which of us shall emerge a god. Really? Did you forget the pecking order? Main villain, side story villain. Oh, god damn it.
Yeah, dancing in the palm of your hand, eh?
Oh boy. Apparition had to do with the X. Yeah. That X was really weird, just randomly. I forgot to comment on it because I was caught up in the scene, but... Oh my god. So, hey! That was a very unusual end to the question arcs for now. It's clear now that Tokihogushi, we didn't get any answers at all. But what we did get was basically one gigantic prologue to Miyotsuguchi, which I'm assuming that takes place in the same universe as Tokihogushi. Otherwise, it wouldn't really make too much sense. And so with that out of the way, I just want to get back to the main screen. With that out of the way, I'll just give my thoughts on basically... Well, first I'll talk about Tokihogushi. It's really, really hard. Actually, a lot harder than I thought it would be to give thoughts on Tokihogushi because literally nothing was resolved. Like, you know, Tomoe got her groove back, but at the end, and that's pretty cool, but... yeah, you are a Void Dweller. What's going on? Yeah, it's a blood moon. Yep, all the bokoblins are going to be revived. Yeah, and anyway, it's a lot harder for me to give thoughts on Tokihogushi than I originally thought, because literally nothing was resolved, which I thought that's something I wasn't really prepared for. And out of nowhere, Hanyu shows up and talks to Tomoe.
just like she did with Akasaka in Matsurebayashi. And I'm just, well, yeah. Anyway, I don't think I can actually give any proper thoughts on it because we didn't learn a goddamn thing. I thought that beginning part was cute with Tomoe in the office and everything. The Game of Thrones shit at the police station, I guess that's gonna be maybe playing a factor into Miyotsukushi. And we even got our own like villain in Adachi there, just that she's gonna fight against in Miyotsukushi. Again, I keep saying Miyotsukushi, but I'm not gonna do Miyotsukushi for a while later, as I already said, because I don't want to get burned out on Higurashi. And I just want to the Natsumi cameo, that was neat. It's basically saying that was there to show that in this universe, Natsumi's going to be fine. The events of Somei Tsushi are not going to be repeated. And you know what? I think now I'm going to move on to my thoughts overall about the console arcs, because damn, it's just really hard to... there'll be fan games next. Well, tomorrow is more Seabed, but we're gonna do some fan games after that. So that'll be quite fun until Chaos Head is ready. Fan games and short games, and also Seabed. But yeah. So I suppose I'll go through them one by one here. Tarai Mawashi. That really, Tarai Mawashi is was just a direct result of them them trying to turn Higurashi into a standard choice-based visual novel, and for some reason they called it a full route. And later on, I have heard that there were actually bad endings. Some of them lasting like even a full 2 hours, to stuff like Mayakashi, like full alternate bad endings that they didn't decide to give an arc name to for no reason. They're just part of Mayakashi and stuff as a result of the bad choices you can make in those routes in the console versions of Higurashi. And it's just, when you read Tarai Mawashi, it's like, it feels like it might be going somewhere and then like, just cuts off. It's literally, there really wasn't even an idea behind Tarai Mawashi, it feels like. Just a random ass bad ending that isn't even scary, really. It doesn't even, has zero kind of payoff, zero setup. It feels completely pointless unless you acknowledge its origins as basically an Onikakushi quote-unquote bad ending. Not that the original Onikakushi ending was the happiest thing in the world. Now, Tsukio Toshi, this is going to be my controversial opinion. I loved the absolute fuck out of Tsukio Toshi. I'm sorry, I just did. I thought Tsukio Toshi was amazing. That had Rena and Shion interaction, something we didn't really get at all in any of the 8 main arcs, and those are my 2 favorite characters in Higurashi, so hell yeah to that. And just it took its place. It did a good job of okay, what do you want to do with Higurashi console arcs? It's an alternate scenario, something that's different from anything else that happened in the main arcs of Higurashi. And it didn't overstay its welcome. It was basically an alternate path to Tokihogushi. And that's it. It was with its own fully fledged story and everything that continued the themes of Tokihogushi, but except Shion is there. and basically a different series of events happens that just feels like its own thing. This is the Tsukio Toshi is probably the console arc that feels most like it belongs in Higurashi, I have to say. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, absolutely. Like that. I think Tsukio Toshi is underrated as fuck. Like, I think people have told me that it's bad. Like, I completely disagree. To me, Tsukio Toshi is the console arc, aside from one other one that I'm about to mention, that basically comes the closest to the quality of the main arcs and sometimes even matches them for what it is. Basically an alternate scenario that takes place halfway through Tokihogushi. I really enjoyed it and do not regret a single minute of reading Tsukio Toshi. And similarly, Tomoe Sushi. I love the absolute crap out of Tomoe Sushi. Chisato, best girl! Amazing cast of Tomoe Sushi. Amazing cast! I love that. It felt like a different take on Higurashi. The ending was really scary. Like, you know, it was like just a snap to terror. Just like that all of a sudden, the slice of life was great. Tomoe Sushi just made me feel so happy reading it. I just loved it. I just loved it. I agree. I see that, Waffle, but it didn't do anything interesting with that kind of premise, Waffle. Like, Tomoe Sushi, fucking incredible. Seriously, hats off to whoever wrote Tomoe Sushi. That is what I would call a worthy side story to Higurashi. I really enjoyed that. Seriously, just I honestly, if I was gonna read something again, any of these again, it would be Tomoe Sushi, probably. Tomoe Sushi and Tsukio Toshi. Those are my two favorites out of all these. Now, moving on to Kageboshi. That was really weird, and I think excuse me, I just need to sorry, talking too much. I do think that Kageboshi kind of exemplifies a major issue that runs throughout the rest of the console arcs, in that I really wish that they didn't spend so much time on the detectives there trying to solve the mystery of Hinamizawa, because everybody knows they're not going to solve it in the side story. They're not going to give crucial information in the side story. What we want to see is more of the console arc characters doing their console arc problems. Like, I love, Tomoe has this whole freaking quest about her father and shit. And that only gets brought up, sparingly. That only gets brought up sparingly, and like it's always in the background, obviously because they're probably saving it for Miyotsukushi. To the characters trying to figure out what's going on in Hinamizawa, what happened there, and like that's something that we really don't need to see, because we know that they're not going to solve it in a side story, and nothing really of note was added by seeing the detectives, and Kageboshi was long as hell too. Longer than a lot of the main arcs. It just felt like, because the parts that we had with the Tomoe Sushi cast, especially the ending, were still great. It felt like it was almost two stories in one, because they hardly ever crossed over. Like, the parts of Kageboshi that concerned Natsumi and her gang, those were great. The ending, a showdown between Natsumi and Chisato that echoed the end of Sumihoroboshi, that was awesome. That was fucking awesome. I loved every second of that scene. But it's like they just killed the pacing on, like, just on the whole investigation of the Hinamizawa thing, that disaster that didn't go anywhere, and we knew it couldn't go anywhere because of the structure of the story. And now we talk of, back to Tokihogushi. I thought it was interesting to, talk about, focus on Tomoe, but again, like, investigating Hinamizawa. Like, I thought we were going to have something interesting. It's like, oh, are we going to explore why Rena is super strong? Like, what's going to happen? Like, but then the story kind of meanders. Like, we had a lot of fun comedy shit in the beginning and some nice characterization for Tomoe, and in the end, it didn't really end up being its own arc. It ended up being an extended prologue for Miyotsukushi, which I guess is okay. It wasn't what I was expecting, but I can't really fault it because that's clearly what it is. Although I think I would have rather known that coming in, but how would have anyone known to tell me? So I don't fault anyone for that. I just was expecting it to be its own arc with its own, kind of resolution. We got to know Adachi, sort of. Sorry. Who was basically just, he's going to be Tomoe's villain in Miyotsukushi. And we'll probably get the answers to who killed, her father. Yeah, I was hoping to get more on Rena's Ibaraki story. Like, what happened in the school? Like, they brought that up, and I thought we were going to get more answers about that. But that plot point was just dropped. Like, that really disappointed me. I would have really loved to learn more about that in Tokihogushi. And now, to... God damn it. There's too much dust in here. So sorry about these coughs. Hold on a second. And now to talk about the one that I've been avoiding talking about. Yowagoshi. I don't want to make it seem like I'm just jumping on the console arcs, because that's not what I want to do. That's not what I want to do. That's not what I want to do. Void Dweller, I think that's the nicest thing I can say about it as well. I wasn't there 100% of the time on Yowagoshi, but I found it cool that Neon was there and she had her own sword. And it took place in 2006. All those are really cool incidents. Like, if you try to summarize Yowagoshi for someone, they're going to think it's fucking awesome. We're exploring, a freaking devastated Hinamizawa in the future with a badass future Mion with a sword and Akasaka's daughter as a police officer. And there's Yakuza wars. Like, based on that kind of description, you think like, oh my god, this is going to be the coolest thing ever. But it's not. That's right, Jess. That's right, Jess. It can't be helped. It can't be helped. We have to talk about Yowagoshi. And no. And no, Void Dweller, it's not really awesome. It wasn't. Even though I so wanted it to be. I so wanted it to be, but... You know what? We're at the end of the console arcs. You know, I just said it can't be helped. So you know what? Let's have fun with it. 53.
Oh, Danganronpa!
Do. Anyway, I just, So, there were so many things wrong with Yoagoshi. How could you fuck up a premise that cool? How could you fuck up a premise that cool? First of all, oh god, this is gonna be just me bitching, isn't it? We spend the first half of the story going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth while we hear the main character, who I've already forgotten his name, like constantly being just an annoying asshole, really. We have the sympathetic characters that are just treated like absolute dog shit. Ghosts are real, by the way, and not just Hanyu, but any random person can become a ghost and talk to people. Yep. Like, I'm sure that was totally necessary to add to Higurashi. And seriously, I don't think I've ever... Arakawa, thank you, Fawful, that was his name, had a protagonist that we were supposed to root for that I disliked more than him. Really. Just like... I'm so glad you liked it, Jess. I'm so glad you had a good time with it, because I don't want people to have not a good time. I want people to have a good time, so I'm really happy for you. Just... Seriously, what happened with the blonde kid who looked like Satoshi and the pink-haired bootleg Rena, just the way their characters were treated was just... And the ghost thing on top of that. It's just so many things. I'm just like, no, why? At Yoagoshi. It was Otobe. That was his name, not Okabe. Okabe was in this one in Tokihogushi. Otobe. I liked him until the point where he just threw away money that was literally given to him by the ghost. And he'll just face his mafia debt on his own, apparently. Like, seriously, are we supposed to cheer him on for that? Like, if he leaves his fucking room, he'll probably be thrown in Tokyo Bay by the fucking Yakuza. Which, by the way, there's a huge bit of hypocrisy. Like, in Yoagoshi, Neon and Shion are members of the Yakuza, aka organized crime. And they are chastising, or rather Mion is chastising Otobe for looting corpses, when they've probably done so much worse. Are you serious? Like, it's literally part of their fucking business to do crime to people, and they're chastising him? Like, come on! Seriously? She's literally the leader of a fucking gang of criminals. Like, it just... There's just so much wrong with Yoagoshi. And Mion, the one who literally hid the bodies of the people that Rena killed in Sumiharaboshi and said it was no big deal. That is just... Her actions in Yoagoshi just felt so out of character. For someone who literally hid corpses to save her friend. Like, just doesn't make fucking sense. The Halo Reach ending. Void Dweller. Yeah, that was pretty funny. See, objective, survive. Anyway, enough about Yoagoshi. If you've seen it, and based on this, y'all already know how I feel about it. I'd like to thank you all for joining me for the Higurashi console arcs. It's been a journey with plenty of ups and downs, and I'm glad in the end that I've experienced them, and I hope you guys had fun. I really hope you did. I know I had fun with a lot of it as well. And we will eventually do Miyotsukushi. There's 2 Miyotsukushis, by the way. And I will eventually do it, but for now I'm going to take a little break from Higurashi. And we're going to play some Umineko fan games. Oh, hello, James. That's okay. I'm so sorry, James. Yeah, we're going to play some Umineko fan games and stuff next time on this side of the LP. But first of all, tomorrow we're going to continue with Seabed. And also, oh yeah, the sound effects, that rubber stretch and the freaking gun used for every door. Like, what the fuck was up with that? Seriously, that's not a writing issue, but just like, what the fuck were they thinking? Anyway, I really hope you guys had fun. I would love to do the Sea Cats. We're gonna but that really has a lot of trouble setting up. Basically, Sea Cats. In that Sea Cats and Witches in Woodlands, I really do want to do those eventually, but there's really big issues with setting them up in that they are literally mods. They are literally mods to the original Japanese version of Umineko. The original PC release of Umineko. And so, to actually get those, I need to first find a copy of the original Japanese version of Umineko, because that's the only way it can be modded. Yeah, they're literally mods for the original Umineko game files. Sea Cats and oh, Fawful, you got it set up? Could you tell us more about it in the Discord? I'd really love that. I'd really love that, because I do want to do Witches in Woodlands and Sea Cats eventually. That's to get back into Umineko, even if it's a fan game. But one thing we are definitely going to do is Turnabout of the Golden Witch, which is something made in the Phoenix Wright engine between Battler and Beatrice, and I can't wait to play that one. We are definitely gonna do that though this week, definitely. So guys, that's enough extra talk here. Tomorrow, I hope I'll see some of you for Seabed. Until then, I will say, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, good night. You are all the sweetest of hearts. See ya.